There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am doing a hot take tag. In other words, I just watched Bibliofilth's version of this tag, and I haven't spent one moment of preparation before I pushed record to do mine. She didn't tag me because, you know, I don't need to be tagged. I think somebody might have tagged me. I think Mark Nash might have tagged me on this. But anyway, I don't need anybody's permission to do a tag, do you? By the way, Bibliofilth, I hadn't watched one of her videos for so long, and I love her. You should watch this video of hers, and you should watch all her videos. She's got a potty mouth, and she has attitude and sass, and she's amazing. So, let's see. This was originally...
Welcome,
in fact, now that I have spent no preparation on this. I should call this the last 10 books tipsy tag, because I'm, you know, on my third glass of wine. This is an original tag of Mark Nash's. I had forgotten that. Did he tag me? He didn't tag me, Mark! But I think I did watch this, and I kind of made a note to self. He launched this tag in March of 2018. And I wasn't tagged by him, and I wasn't tagged by Bibliofilth, but I'm gonna do it! So, question number 1. What is the last book you didn't finish? Well, if you watch my channel regularly, you know that I bail on a lot of books, and what was the most recent one? 2 on one day. I bailed on 2 books on one day. One was This Mournable Body by Tsitsi Dangarembga. I have a review video, which I know gives Steve Donahue a conniption fit that I have a video review of a book I bailed on, but it was a trilogy, and I bailed on the 3rd of the trilogy. Put a link in the show notes if you want to watch, but it's a Zimbabwean novel that was just awful. But that ties for the most recent with another awful book. This one, a collection of essays by Zadie Smith, Feel Free. Very different reaction to each of them. Zadie Smith is a wonderful writer, but she's so overly intellectual I cannot connect with her stuff. I have respect for her as a writer, but her stuff just doesn't resonate for me. Tsitsi Dangarembga can't write. There's a difference. 2, the last book you reread. A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. I did this, my reread was a buddy read just maybe 2 months ago with a bunch of famous, lovely booktubers. I won't try and list all of them because I might forget one off the top of my head, and that might cause a bitter feud on BookTube. It's a 1980 novella set just after World War I, where a young wounded veteran of World War I, who's also an art restorer, is hired to go out to the boonies of England to uncover a mural on the wall of an ancient church that had been covered over centuries before, and his interactions with the people of the town. It's a perfect novel. One of my, if I had to pick my 5 favorite novels, that would be on the list. So I reread it and loved it even more. So it was a 5-star read the first time. It's now a 7-star read. The last book you bought. Oh my God. I'm going to make another Amazon purchase in a few minutes, but the most recent one... Oh, a novella. I can run and get it. I think I can find it. 1 second. So yes, this novella from Wales. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. While we're waiting, how would you pronounce his first name? Sinan? Sinan? Well, on howtopronounce.com, there are 3 sample pronunciations, and the first one has -2 votes, the second one has -3 votes, and the third one has -4 votes, so I won't use that website. So I have some Welsh subscribers, so what do you think of this pronunciation?
couldnt.
Huh?
Couldnt.
Yes, then. Sorry, that's in Welsh, and that just, I can't catch that, so let's try another one.
Kazen.
Huh?
Kazen.
can't catch that at all. Kinan? Wow, what? That is a tricky word to pronounce. I'm going to try another one.
Kenan Jones.
Okay, I guess it's Kenan. Kenan Jones. Cove, a novella from... He's a Welsh writer, and this is a 2016 novella. I remember when it came out, there was quite a bit of buzz about it, and this is Novellas in November. I'm still hoping to sneak it in. It's November 18th. Wish me luck. Oof. That was quite a pronunciation rabbit hole. The last book you said you read but didn't. I think, like Bibliofilth, I would have to go back to my school days when I, skimmed or pretended to have read something just in order to write an essay or talk about it in class. And I would be hard-pressed to think of what it was. At graduate school, I do remember that because I was just overwhelmed with all that I had to read at graduate school, and this is going back to early 1990s. I'm not sure which graduate course it was, but maybe Literature of the American South. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I read and absolutely loved half of that novel, and I just ran out of time, and I never finished it. So I want to go back and finish it. So that might be the one that I would count, but it's not because I wasn't loving it, because I remember that I very deeply did love it, but I just couldn't finish it, and for whatever reason, never got back to it. The last book you wrote in the margins of. My policies, it seems like a highfalutin word to use, but my policy for whether or not writing in books is I never write or underline in fiction unless it's a beat up reading copy only. The last novel that I wrote in the margins of was a really beat up Penguin edition of The Driver's Seat by Muriel Spark. I was doing that as a buddy read with Leah of Hide and Seek, and she mentioned she was writing in the margins, and I thought, I haven't written in the margins forever, and so I wrote and underlined, and it felt really good, but then I thought, okay, I'm back to writing in the margins and stuff every time, but once I had a brand new book, I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I can't when it's fiction. Nonfiction is not nearly as important as fiction. I don't care about nonfiction nearly as much as I care about fiction, so I tend to write in the margins and underline. So this biography of E.F. Benson, I wrote in the margins a lot. That. Minnie a lesbian, underline. Almost every page. And especially because it was a buddy read, and we had lots to talk about. So, 6 is interesting. The last book you had signed. When I was still living in Canada, I went to so many literary readings and book launches and literary festivals and book signings. Since I moved to Japan, almost never. In fact, there's only one, and it was my favorite novel of all time. Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeleine Tien. I think I can still find it. I'll put the photo where Madeleine Tien came to Japan. She was for Canada's 150th birthday party. The Canadian Embassy in Tokyo brought her to Japan to do a lecture. And I went and got my book signed, and I got about 10 or 15 minutes of conversation with her because I had been bombarding the Canadian Embassy with messages to make sure that this and that, all the details, and they knew how much I was a Madeleine Tien groupie. So as soon as I went to pick up my free ticket, they said, "Oh, you're Sean Mooney." And I said, "I want my book signed." They said, "Well, there's not going to be any time for that, but we know how much of a fan you are." So they brought Madeleine Tien over to me 15 minutes before the program started, and she sat down and talked to me and signed my books, and we had a great conversation, and I made a complete and utter fool of myself. So that's the last book I had signed. That was extremely memorable. The last book you lost. I don't think I've ever lost a book, because books are the only important things in the world. I've lost every other category of item that you could ever think of, but books? That's disgusting. Who would ever lose a book? I don't think I've ever lost a book. How would you lose a book? I don't understand this question. The last book you had to replace. Well, I should back up and go back to question 7. The last book you lost. So many times in my life, I have loaned a book to somebody and never got it back. But that's not losing a book, right? So I have replaced books because I've loaned them to people and not gotten them back. The one that stands out is a Japanese novel, novella actually, A Personal Matter by Oe Kenzaburo, or Western Order, Kenzaburo Oe. And I loaned it to a friend when I was living in Vancouver, never got it back, and I got another copy after I moved to Japan. After starting to reread it, I didn't like it nearly as much. I loved it when I read it the first time, and I need to maybe reread it a third time to really come to grips with it. But anyway, that's the last book I remember replacing. 9 is a fascinating question. The last book you had an argument over. Because to be honest, I think arguing over books is just ridiculous. What is there to argue over? I liked the book. You didn't like it. It just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. There's nothing to quarrel over. I've disagreed about books. You liked it and I didn't like it, or vice versa. But to actually argue, I mean, I guess if it's nonfiction and you're arguing about the issue being written about, that might be different. Like, if you loved Donald Trump's book and I hated it, I would never speak to you again. That's different than my favorite novel is Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeleine Tien and Chris of Bookish Cauldron, Britta Bowler, Steve Donahue, and my mother. None of those people, all of whom I love to varying degrees, didn't like it or hated it. What is there to argue over? Nothing. So, no. The last one, number 10. The last book you couldn't get a hold of. Okay, so this one, my response to this one might be a little controversial because I think there's no excuse for not getting a hold of books. And I'm speaking as a middle class, I was going to say single. I'm not single anymore, but, you know, gay guy, you know, and I have money. I'm not rich, but I have enough money that I don't understand. If you're in my situation, if you're not rich, if you're poor and you're relying on the library, or you have a very limited budget with which to purchase books, I'm not talking about you, okay? So I'm talking about myself, and that is, to me, there's no excuse for not getting a hold of a book. I do roll my eyes, and again, I'm probably being a snob in terms of economic situation, and I feel a need to say one more time, I'm not rich, but if I want a book and it's not yet available, it hasn't been published in the country in which I reside, but it's available and has been published in other countries, I will buy it from that country. Like, that is not a barrier or an impediment. But again, like I say, there's economic issues there. So I acknowledge them out front, so you don't need to at me in the comment section. But I can't I can't think of a book that I couldn't get a hold of. If it's out of print and it's not available anywhere online, then it's... So, that was fun. Who do I want to tag for this video? I seem to do this when I do tag videos lately. I'll just go to my comments section and tag a bunch of people. So I'll just randomly, Kendra Winchester, you're tagged. Bookish, you're tagged. Cousin of Always Doing. And, I'm sorry I haven't got your real name in my head, but Another Book Vlog. I didn't say vlog, vlog, Another Book Vlog. And 6 minutes for me. You are officially tagged. That was fun. Thanks for watching. That was fun. Thanks for watching.